Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we put on our PJs and dream of Pokemon Sleep. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including a recap of yesterday's Pokemon Presents. And then on Thursday, we are talking about our experience at Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Hollywood with special guest Ryan Mogi. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I think I've talked about in the past how I listen to, audiobooks when I'm going to sleep to kind of focus my brain on something else, give it a rest, and I can go to sleep. And so recently I, instead of listening to audiobooks, have been just putting on YouTube videos,
episodes of this show. YouTube videos. Okay.
YouTube videos. And so one was this playlist from, I think it was GameSpot, that was every video was 20 things you didn't know about Breath of the Wild, 12 things you didn't know about Breath of the Wild.
So many of those videos.
I've done so many of those videos.
Where it's somehow 37 even more things you didn't know about Breath of the Wild from 5 years ago.
But it is absolutely 100% affecting my dreams. And not even in necessarily predictable ways.
Okay.
Where it's I'm not having dreams where I'm on the Great Plateau or anything. It's just really messing with my mind. I don't know if I should keep doing it.
No, I mean you definitely shouldn't. I watched the Pokemon Presents this morning, and then YouTube served up something else while I was getting ready for my day. Because I had it up on the TV, and I was definitely wandering around before the thing was over. And it served up to me a video that was just a compilation of, I couldn't really tell what it was. It was supposed to be Zelda, clips from various Zelda games. And I was oh, okay, from the first 3 Zelda games, I'm okay, this makes sense. Here's Legend of Zelda, here's Zelda 2, here's A Link to the Past. And then there was some footage from Link's Awakening, and it started with a screen that said Virtual Console on it. I was oh, okay, well I guess that's weird. They grabbed some I it. Obviously they got this from Virtual Console. That's fine, I guess, but whatever. And then the next thing was a trailer, seemingly a trailer for Zelda 64 before it was Ocarina of Time.
Huh.
And I was what is this compilation? And I'm sorry it took so long to describe it, but I just it felt and then when I turned off the TV, I couldn't get back to it. I don't know where it was served up to me from. It may have been a dream that I had. I'll never know.
Yeah, maybe it was my dream state projected, made real into this YouTube video, through some sort of nefarious AI.
Yeah. Speaking of Mark's dreamscape made real, we've got Patreon where we are offering a bunch of bonus content, including episodes of a series that we are calling NCS Detective Club. It's Mark and I watching classic detective shows and talking about them. We've talked about Murder, She Wrote. We've talked about Monk. And then coming out this Friday, we've got a new one where we're going to be discussing Diagnosis Murder.
Yeah, so check that out at patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society. We have a bunch of other great rewards up there as well.
Yep. And if you are interested in joining our Discord, you don't need to be a member of the Patreon. All you got to do is email us at NintendoCartridgeSociety@gmail.com. And we will send you an invitation. You can join the Discord. I was about to call it Discard. That's not what it is. It's Discord. Where we're having great conversations about Nintendo stuff all the time. Tell you what, when there's something like this Pokemon Presents or anything like that, that is the place that I go to first to be how are people reacting to this?
Absolutely.
Because frankly, I don't care how most people are reacting to it. Our community, though, they got their finger on the pulse, Mark.
Absolutely, 100%.
So get in there. It's a great time. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. First things first, Tetris 99 ticket update.
Dun 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 dun.
618 tickets.
Very, very good.
So steadily making progress. I guess I earned 20 tickets this week. That's not great because I have an opportunity to earn 28 tickets.
But
every week.
But it keeps you on schedule?
It keeps me on schedule.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay, yeah.
20 is the schedule. That's right.
I feel like I'm sure I've said this before, but we've got to do something. I got to get you a cake or something to commemorate 999 when it happens.
Mark, you've got time. But other than that, I spent a little time in that Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy Online library. I played all the way through Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, which at some point I said estimated on this show was like maybe a 5 or 6 hour game. I'm wrong. It's like an hour and a half.
I feel like that is such a, for me anyway, such like a virtue of all of these Game Boy games is they just can't be that long, with some rare exceptions.
Right. Well, and also like a lot of them can be long. But I tell you what, you got some rewind there, and you're like, hey, I don't have to die on this cheap little spike thing, this single impossible jump that makes this whole level hard.
Yeah, I still hold every video game should have a rewind feature.
Yeah. It just, I want to see the end. Come on, don't make me like commit this level to memory just so I can see Wario. Right. You want to see Wario in that game.
Yep.
He uses the same power ups you do. It's so charming.
Yep.
Anyway, that game's great. Mark, I am also still playing Fire Emblem Engage. I want to get to that sort of at the end of the segment. But I put it on pause for a second so I could start the Metroid Prime Remastered.
Because you were waiting for the physical version, is that right?
That's not right.
Oh, okay.
No, I was just waiting.
Oh, got it.
Part of the reason that I didn't engage with it right away was because of Fire Emblem. I hated that I said engage and then moved talking about
Fire Emblem did it. It did it
true.
to you.
It's Fire Emblem's fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault.
No.
No, I was kind of like, look, I have such like limited time to play games, and I know I'll have fun with either one of these games, but why start one when I have another that's like mid-go? I was playing it a little bit this weekend, and I was like, you know what? I want to give Metroid Prime a spin. So I'm still super early in the game. I just got the Morph Ball, so like very, very early, like first hour or two. And really enjoying it. Shocked at how good it looks, even though that's been the scuttlebutt around it the whole time. And yeah, just remarkable how well it plays with the like new control scheme, and just like, I don't know, it just feels good to like run and jump around in first person in that game.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on it. I finished it this past week
without a rewind feature.
That's right. And again, the first time I had played it since the GameCube era, so it had been a very long time. I don't know how excited I would be, only because I don't remember having that much fun with Echoes, and I did not really like Metroid Prime 3.
Right.
I realized as I was finishing Metroid Prime that my thoughts on that trilogy are very similar to my thoughts on the Arkham Knight trilogy. Where, like, for me personally, I still think Arkham Asylum is the best of those games.
Yeah.
Because it is the most, like, focused. And then, like, as the series progressed, they added additional mechanics and, like, opened up the world and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And I really think that Arkham Asylum really benefited from just being, like, this singular experience, almost not in a bad way, but kind of just, like, you're going down this corridor, you're just going to continue.
Right.
And I think Metroid Prime really benefits from that as well. Like, it's because it was the first time, like, the limited scope of it, and how you are just spending the majority of your time on Talon 4. But within that, you have all these different varied biomes. Like, by the end, was I kind of sick of the backtracking? Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of back and forth in the game, and like a lot of just having to return to areas you've already been. But this time, there's like enemies that are going to shoot at you some more. Like,
they're going to shoot at you different.
Yeah, so like that, but I had forgotten how the game, like the final, minor spoilers for Metroid Prime. The game is old enough that a lot of people have probably never played it before, and so this will be spoilers for the end of the game. So now's your chance to skip ahead like 2 minutes. But I had forgotten about the Metroid Prime battle.
Yes.
Like with the boss itself, and it's not like I don't think any of the bosses in the game are like particularly good. I thought the Ridley fight, or like Meta Ridley or Mecha Ridley, whatever it is, at the end once you've gotten all of the Chozo artifacts, was kind of lame. But the design of the Metroid Prime itself at like the planet's core, it's like this like weird spider thing, is pretty cool. I liked that Metroid Prime fight quite a bit. It's a great game. I really like Metroid Prime Remastered.
I'm so proud of you for finishing the game. I feel like we both get into like weird little ruts where like we play a game for a little while and then we just kind of like drift away. And I feel like we've been there for a while, right? Maybe since Kirby, like a year. And you finished the game. I think that's I just want to say, Mark, congratulations.
Thank you. And the music is so good.
Music's great.
The music is amazing.
Are you mostly playing handheld or on the TV?
I played mostly handheld. I did play a little bit on the TV. I played like the end on the TV.
Yeah.
But in general, I played it on handheld.
Do you find that you are playing more on handheld now that you have the OLED?
You know, even before I got the OLED, I was playing more and more
You were drifting over to handheld?
I was playing more and more on handheld in general.
And why is that? Are you doing that because
I don't really know. I think
you're also watching TV, or
no. I think usually when I'm gaming, I'm just playing games. I'm not really doing anything else. But I think just because I, for a while now, have not had like a lot of dedicated hours to spend, and so I have found it's more conducive to play in like 15-20 minute spurts when I'm doing it in handheld mode, and I can set it down and then just come back and pick it up the next time I have like 10 minutes to devote to something. How about you? Since you got the OLED, or do you think you're playing more handheld?
I feel like I've been a lot more content to just like sit down on the couch and like pull it out of the dock, and like even when there's no like competition for the TV, I'm just like, I don't know, I'll just sit on the couch and play it in my hand. It is just such a like inviting, vibrant experience on that little screen that I guess I just don't mind doing it there instead of on the TV.
Also, the music in Metroid Prime, a lot of it is very, very good. Like that final boss battle, the music is amazing. It's just it's a great game. It makes me really curious what Metroid Prime 4 will be.
Yes.
Because like I mentioned, I don't really love where the Metroid Prime series went. Like I especially did not like Metroid Prime 3.
Metroid Prime 3 feels like it's on the continuum the continuum that includes Other M.
Yeah,
right?
Yes. Yeah. Just when I really like Metroid games that are kind of like an isolated Samus experience.
Yeah.
And
I don't want other dudes in there.
Right. Like the world surrounding like the Metroid universe is not that interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will be curious to see if like Metroid Prime 4, it has been so long since Metroid Prime 3. I know that there were teases of where the plot could go at the end of Metroid Prime 3, but I will just be curious, like, mechanically, if it is a direct continuation of the trilogy, and so it is that more, like, multi-planet, you can fly Samus' ship for the first time, like, all those sorts of things, or if it'll be more of a return to kind of this, like, if it'll be like a reset, basically, if it's going to be, like, the Force Awakens of Metroid Prime.
It's been so long that, like, it seems like it does need to be something else, right? Like a reinvention of, like, I wonder also, like, because the Prime games take place between Super Metroid, between Metroids 2 and Super, right?
I can't remember. And I just watched a video on it, or listened to a video as I was falling asleep not that long ago.
I think that's the pocket that they exist in. And I wonder if, like, the new game will continue that, or if they will occupy a different pocket, or like just tack themselves onto like the end of the series.
Yeah, I feel like it could be. I agree with you that I think Metroid Prime 4 could be anything.
Yes.
And after playing the original, this like Metroid Prime Remastered, I am kind of like more like advocating for that.
Yeah.
Like I think it would be cool for it, or it has the potential to be cool for it to be its like It is Metroid Prime 4, but it's its own thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would also be cool with them not calling it Prime 4. Calling it like giving it another like subtitle and starting its own series where we think the first one is the best, and then they get like a little bit crappier with each entry. All right, so I'm still making my way through Metroid Prime. We'll report on that as I go. Just as I am continuing to report on Fire Emblem Engage, I'm doing like reliably 2 chapters a week.
That's pretty good.
It's taking me a long time to get through this game. Although I guess just this last week, and I feel like I played it a lot, but I just advanced a single chapter, chapter 10, the one that had warned me, like, this is going to be multiple battles, so, like,
oh, right.
Don't start this one until you're ready.
So this one, I mean, for a game I have not played, spoilers, but I just understand that this is like a big
this is a
moment
turning
in the
point.
story, right?
Point.
Okay.
And I would like to, Mark, with your permission, talk about what happens in Chapter 10.
Yeah, please. I'm never going to play this game, so
great.
Yeah.
Okay, so spoilers for what happens in Chapter 10 of Fire Emblem Engage. The next like 30 seconds or so. So it is a 2-battle chapter. The first battle of which you are trying to stop the one evil king from sacrificing a good king to like raise the fell dragon. And instead, the fell dragon appears and demands one of the fell dragon's acolytes appears and kills the bad king and is like, we're going to use your blood. This shows you how much we value you. And resurrects the fell dragon. So the evil force in the universe appears and turns all of your emblems evil. So all of the rings and like superpowers that you've been using to like get the better of your enemy the whole time, this thing that I was like, this is what separates this game from the other ones. It has this great strategic edge to it. They're all gone. It's a devastating moment where you're like, oh no. It's not just like losing characters. It's like losing half your party.
Wow.
And it's the half of your party that are in every battle, because why would you not use the emblems?
Are they evil as in like you can't access them anymore?
They're
or are they
evil
as in that you can like still talk to them?
them?
Oh,
you're evil in that your opponents have them. And so the second battle in this in chapter 10 is you running away from the enemies who have now taken your emblems and are using them against you.
Okay.
It's truly devastating. And like Fire Emblem always has like these moments in it where they're doing something really, dramatic or huge, where you're like, wow, I can't believe it went to this place. In Three Houses, it's like the time jump, and the sort of like the houses going from sort of like gentle animosity towards each other to being like warring factions on this continent. In Awaken, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need to list all the big spoilers from recent Fire Emblem games. But this was one that, like, because it's so tied to the gameplay, I felt so naked and vulnerable.
Wow.
Without my emblems.
That sounds pretty cool.
It was remarkably satisfying.
And so I guess you haven't played any further, but do you suspect that you will be like regaining these emblems over time?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they totally got Thanos snapped away. Like, they'll be back. Like, 100% we're doing it on your left situation. We're opening portals, and all my boys are coming back. Because, in...
I guess you did pay for some of them, too, so...
Well, but the ones I paid for didn't go away.
Oh, okay.
Because they're not part of, like, that story.
Got it,
So, I do still have Claude, Edelgard, and Dimitri, like, hanging out in one bracelet that Eddie wears, and, like, she didn't lose that.
Got it.
But yeah, all of, like, Marth, gone. I got no Marth. Celica, gone. And these were, like, super powerful. Like, I think about, like, how frequently I built my whole strategy on the map around, like, okay, so Alfred with Sigurd is going to, like, fly across the map because he's so fast.
Right.
And, like, this character with Celica is going to use this ability called Warp Ragnarok, where you teleport across the map and cast a magic spell. So rad. That like you can close great distances when it's like you just need to defeat one dude. Like you can send like 2 or 3 guys out to just like do it with these emblem abilities, and now they're just gone.
Wow. When your enemies are using them in battle,
their eyes are red. Yes, Mark.
okay. Do they have like dialogue? Like, are they saying like mean things now? Like, is Marth like, "Ooh, I'm gonna burn you bad"?
No. I don't think the evil emblems talk.
Oh, okay.
I think my enemies are taunting me as they use my friends against me. But no, it's like you can tell that they don't want to be evil. That they're like, okay, it's like in Aladdin when Jafar gets the lamp. Spoilers for Aladdin. And the genie's like, sorry, kid, I got it.
He has to do it.
He has to do it.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's kind of cool. That's really fun.
So anyway, I'm loving it. I'm slowly making my way through it. More updates next week, I'm sure. All right, Mark. That's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Patrick, I'm sorry to report, I don't have anything to call out this week.
Nothing. Looking at a list of games, and I don't see anything in here that's interesting. Do you want to just like pick some titles here at random?
Yeah, sure. Well, here's one that so on Wednesday, March 1st, Ken Follett's The Pillars of the Earth is released on Switch. I've read this book before, and so I had to look up what this is. The book is about like a man and his family building a cathedral. And so I had to look up what is this, and it's like a visual novel.
Oh.
Which, interesting.
So they turned a book that you read into a Switch game?
Yes. Yes.
And still kept it being a novel?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a short road from novel to visual novel.
Yes,
I thought you were going to call out A Fox and His Robot, which I assume to be a sci-fi retelling of Fox and the Hound.
Let's see. On Thursday, March 2nd, Arcade Archives Sky Kid Deluxe is released.
And also Live Factory. Maybe Live Factory? You think that's a factory where they build the band live? Remember Dolphins Cry, Lightning Crashes?
No.
I alone have you.
No.
You don't remember Live?
I'm sorry, I don't.
This is a band from the mid-90s,
yeah,
late 90s.
No, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
I've seen them in concert 3 times.
But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
No, like Lightning Crash.
No, I'm sorry. No, I genuinely, I don't think I've ever heard this band or any of their songs.
And this can't be true. You must have heard Live at some point. We're basically the same age.
Yeah.
All right. Listeners, if you've heard a Live song, write into us and tell me how I've done a bad job of telling Mark who this band is. Because he knows Live, right? He knows Live.
I really don't think I do.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the new releases. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, to kick us off here.
Yeah, so today we are looking at a SparksNotes.com quiz. A SparkNotes.com quiz.
There we go.
Where our task is going to be guessing the book from 1-star reviews.
Now, the difference between SparkNotes and Sparks Notes, Sparks Notes, that's the website that is summaries of books written by Hal Sparks, right?
It must be.
Must be.
All right, so the first one. Here's the 1-star review, and then we have 4 options for books.
Okay, great.
For several pages, a lady remarks to a man about what wonderful handwriting he has. Not exactly gripping material.
Okay.
Is this A Tale of Two Cities, Anna Karenina, Pride and Prejudice, or Tess of the D'Urbervilles?
Karenina, right?
Karenina. Yeah, sure.
I think it's Tess. I've read Tess of the D'Urbervilles.
I think it could be Tess of the D'Urbervilles. I think it could be A Tale of Two Cities as well.
Well, whichever way you'd like to vote, Mark.
Well, since your first instinct was Tess of the D'Urbervilles and you've read it.
I have read it.
Then No, it's Pride and Prejudice.
That makes a lot of sense. Pride and Prejudice was among the 3 that you listed?
Among the four that I listed, in fact.
See, that's the problem.
All right, next one. If I wanted to read 200 pages of some overprivileged youth complaining about anything and everything for no legitimate reason, I'd pick up my old high school diary.
I'm going to guess Catcher in the Rye before you even read the option.
That is an option, so let's
Okay.
see if you're right. And you are, in fact,
Yes.
correct. This book is pointless. Nothing happens in the entire book. The characters just talk, drink, and cheat on each other. I would rather have gotten a root canal than read this book. Is this The Odyssey, The Scarlet Letter, The Picture of Dorian Gray, or The Great Gatsby?
Gotta be Gatsby.
Gotta be Gatsby. It is, in fact, Gatsby.
Because how could you claim that nothing happens in the Odyssey?
Firstly, what is that awful introductory chapter all about? I nearly quit before I got started, and I almost wish I had. Is this To Kill a Mockingbird, Far from the Madding Crowd, The Scarlet Letter, or Fahrenheit 451? So this Far from the Madding Crowd is the Thomas Hardy book that I've read.
Right.
But I don't remember there being a first chapter that I would describe as awful.
Can you read the options again?
To Kill a Mockingbird,
Okay.
Far from the Madding Crowd,
Uh-huh.
The Scarlet Letter, or Fahrenheit 451.
So I've read most of these. I've just not read Fahrenheit 451. I don't remember there being a weird introductory chapter to any of these.
Yeah, I don't either. I will say that I read it when I was in high school, but I found the Scarlet Letter really boring. And so that would be my vote for only that fact.
Yeah, go for it.
It was, in fact, the Scarlet Letter.
Yes!
Maybe I wrote that one-star review. I don't really.
I'm going to look it up.
Okay, great. Here's the next one. You know what grinds my gears even more than the fact that I wasted a week on this worthless pseudo-classic? It kills me that people only mistake this hoax for real literature, but reference it for romantic value. Is this Wuthering Heights, Brave New World, Sense and Sensibility, or Midsummer's Night's Dream?
So it's probably not Midsummer or
Brave New World.
Or Brave New World. I'm going to say Sense and Sensibility.
Yeah, okay. No, it was Wuthering Heights. Half of the book is incredibly boring with long descriptions of a battle that no one cares about. The other half is just a bunch of rich white families hosting parties. Okay, is this War and Peace, Gone with the Wind, All Quiet on the Western Front, or The Grapes of Wrath? Definitely not on All Quiet on the Western Front or The Grapes of Wrath.
Right.
War and Peace?
Maybe it's. I've never read War and Peace.
I haven't either, but based on this one-star review.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Yes, it was in fact War and
Nice.
Peace. Every single chapter just goes on and on. The best way to make it interesting was by making everyone related. The twists are overly dramatic, makes no sense, and are presented as life-changing. Little Women, Candide, Their Eyes Were Watching God, or Great Expectations.
Ooh, probably Great Expectations because they are all related in Little Women.
Yeah, that's right, and that's kind of the point. Yeah, Great Expectations, another a book that I kind of loathe, and it is in fact Great Expectations.
It's definitely Great Expectations.
Next one. I get it. It's an American classic full of motifs and imagery, but that doesn't necessarily make it a masterpiece. The only thing truly masterful about this tale is how short it is. Is it Animal Farm, The Old Man of the Sea, Invisible Man, or Slaughterhouse 5?
Ooh.
I feel like the fact that he's full of motifs and imagery
Is that Animal Farm?
is Animal Farm.
It's got to be Animal Farm. Is this the last one, by the way? Our recording ran out.
Oh, it can be the last one.
It
It was, in fact, The Old Man of the Sea.
Oh, okay. We were accompanied today by the Hartwick Wind Ensemble. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Yesterday, February 27th, was Pokemon Day, and there was a Pokemon Presents video released at 6 a.m. Pacific time. It was roughly 30 minutes of news and updates from the Pokemon Company, and it kicks off.
I editorialized here. It was not worth getting up for. And Mark was gracious enough to not read that.
Well,
you didn't do it.
Sure. I did. Did you got up at 6 to watch it?
I was already. I had woken up. I rolled over. I looked at the clock, and it was 5:45. And I was like, I get out of bed now. I could put on a pot of coffee, and I could watch this thing.
Yeah.
If something exciting happens, I want to be there. Nothing exciting happened.
Yeah, I watched it after the fact, and I thought it was fine.
Sure.
I don't really have super high expectations for like Pokemon is not a franchise that I'm super invested in,
Right.
and so it didn't really matter to me what was announced.
Right.
But here is what was announced. So we got some non-gaming updates.
Here's a list of things that don't matter to me.
The Pokemon World Championships were announced to be held in Japan for the first time this
Kind
year.
of crazy, right?
Yeah, kind of. August 11th through 23rd in Yokohama, Japan. Players will compete in the trading card game, Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Go, and more.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we got a trailer for something called the Pokemon Trading Card Game Classic.
Now, this is the kind of nonsense that I love because they refuse to explain what this was.
No.
They just showed it was like a very like hoity-toity trailer of like a man walking into a room carrying a big black box, sitting down at a table across from a woman, opening this big black box, and it being like the perfect playing field for Pokemon the card game. And then either the cards were part of this or not. There were like little tokens and everything. And I've not played the Pokemon card game, so I can't tell you how much of that is like. I can't tell you anything about what this is.
Yeah, there was this part where there was almost as part of this like deluxe. Imagine like a really premium deluxe chess set.
Yes.
But instead of chess, it's like a really incredibly nice version of the Pokemon trading card game, and presumably like the initial 100 or so cards, I think, is like what is being presented here,
So,
like the original original trading card game.
So that's my question is that like is it just like a starter deck or like a complete set of like the originals, or is it like just enough for two people to play? Like does it take the sort of like collectible and like deck building part of it out of the gameplay, so it's just like you open it and you and another person can play Pokemon like wherever, or is it just like a fancy way to play the regular Pokemon card game?
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that they call it like classic makes me think that it is specific to a certain point in time of the Pokemon the card game. One thing that this made me realize that I've never watched a true match of the card game being played, because there was some accoutrement to this like deluxe set that was like a shallow bowl or dish, and they're like rolling balls in it or something.
I mean, and it's unclear to me how much of this is like real and like part of the game, and how much of it is just like something that you can like swirl around in your hand as you're playing. Like, I don't know. Is some of it just like a tumbler with like a bourbon in it? Like what is this? What is this experience?
Yeah, I don't really know. But this for me was probably like one of the most intriguing things.
Yes.
And
because here's the thing. We are big into video games. We play them, right? And there's always like a gulf between like how seriously we take these things and the amount of money we spend on them, and like the sort of just like aesthetic build of a lot of these things. And to see the Pokemon Company be like, no, we're going to do like a classy, like you can have this in your home. It's not going to be like you can have it out on a table.
Looked beautiful.
It looked beautiful. And we'll talk about the Pokemon Go Plus in a little bit, but it's like, that's a gaudy, audacious little thing that like, if you have that sitting in your bed with you, someone's going to be like, hey, what is that ugly thing? And you'll have to explain. But like, you could have this very cool, sleek looking box to play the card game on, and like, that's cool. And I always wished, like, man, if I could have like a premium Nintendo 3DS that like my old like 3DS library lives on, like, I would love that. Something that is just like not embarrassing to pull out, and that like looks cool and looks nice, and I could just like have it out somewhere. The untoyness of it is very appealing to me.
They also announced a new animated series coming to Netflix called Pokemon Concierge. It's a Netflix series where Pokemon are guests at a resort. There appears to be like a human that is working, I guess, is like the concierge at this resort for Pokemon.
Is this a mixed like live action?
No, it looks like it's all stop motion animation.
Interesting.
And they showed a very brief like teaser trailer for it, but it had very like, just based on the premise and the name, you could imagine it kind of having like the frenetic energy of the animated TV show. But it was very like
It seemed
calming
chill,
and
yeah.
relaxing, and a lot of the trailer was just the sound of waves.
Was just waves and then a Psyduck going for a walk on the beach.
Yeah, kind of freaking out, losing his mind.
That's what Psyduck does, though.
Yep. We also got a few updates on the spin-off games. So Pokemon Unite, Zacian from Pokemon Sword, the legendary that has like a sword in its mouth.
And I always got to wonder, like, is that sword part of its body?
I think it is.
I think it is.
I think it is. Is coming to the game as well as like some special events and items around Zacian. Pokemon Cafe Remix is getting the Scarlet and Violet starters and some other stuff.
I just want to point out Pokemon Cafe Remix. It's got two separate little accents over E's in the title of this game, Pokemon and Cafe. It's the only time in typing up our notes for the news portion here that I put the accent on the E in Pokemon because they have it on both Pokemon and Cafe.
And then Pokemon Masters EX is getting 6 more trainers for the game's 3.5-year anniversary.
Which, again, I don't know that we can celebrate half-year anniversaries, but...
I like it, though. I like that it's a 3.5, and the other, like, weird anniversary we got hyped up for was, like, the 35th anniversary, so maybe it's just something about
the thing
3 and 5 as an anniversary.
I remember them doing this last year, too, of 2.5-year anniversry. It seems like they should have just released the thing 6 months earlier in the first place. Or later.
And then we get a few updates on the marquee games, including Pokemon Sleep.
Which, look, I thought it was Pokemon Dead, right?
Yeah, we heard about
Here it is.
We heard about this existing at least a year ago, maybe a couple of years ago.
It feels like forever ago.
And now we saw the essence of it. I can't even remember if we saw like anything from the game itself.
We see some things on a phone screen. Yeah.
So it launches this summer, and they're introducing this peripheral. So you use it to like track your sleep, and based on
and you can like set alarms and stuff too, right?
Yeah. So I think it's like it seems to be a lot like other sleep tracking apps that are available on the App Store for your phone, where the ones that I have seen are like you put your phone face down on like the edge of your bed, kind of like by your pillow, and then it is measuring your movements throughout the night to kind of determine like how much your REM cycle, where you are in your REM cycle, and how deep your sleep is, and like kind of manage your sleep health. And so it seems like what they're doing here is something very similar, but then based on the readings, it is determining like, oh, you share sleep habits of this Pokemon.
Right. And like then you earn like a badge for sleeping for a night, like Pikachu or like the Snorlax. That's got to be the end game, right? Is sleep?
Yeah,
like
that's
Snorlax.
peak sleep health.
Right. I mean, you may be like sick or something if you're sleeping like the Snorlax.
Oh, you mean end game like dead?
Yeah, I mean, yeah definitely. Are you sleeping 21 hours a day?
You might be a Snorlax.
Snorlax Foxworthy, yeah. It's so I know that people do use like sleep tracker apps. Is this anything that you've ever messed around with, Mark?
I have tried it before, like way back when I first got a smartphone for the first time, but nothing extensively. What about you?
No, the idea of bringing the phone, like, anytime I do frequently bring the phone into the bedroom, but I just use it to poison my brain. So I don't really like the idea of melding that with my sleep schedule. And I guess that's part of what the Pokemon Go Plus is about.
Yeah, that's right. So this is a new peripheral or I guess really like a revision of the Pokemon Go Plus.
It's like a plussed up version of the Pokemon Go Plus.
Some might say.
Yeah.
So Pokemon Go Plus, if I'm remembering correctly, was something that you could carry with you, put it in your purse or just a bag, and as you were walking...
Or your purse. You could put it in your purse.
Yeah, either one, but as you were walking around, or a tote, you can tote it around.
Put it in your backpack.
A fanny pack, a small coin purse.
You could put it in one of those dog poop bags that you use to pick up dog poop.
You could.
You could sew it into your skin.
That's right, like people would do with magnets because they're like cyber hackers or something like that.
Yeah, or like Spider-Man.
Yes. Anyway,
that's how Spider-Man works, right?
It must be.
Right.
So Pokemon Go Plus was a thing that you could put in an assortment of places and then carry it around with you, and it would like collect Pokemon for you as you were out and about, or at least simplified the process.
It had a button on it.
Okay.
In pushing the button, you could either throw a Pokeball or spin a Pokestop. That's
Got
nearby.
it. Okay.
It's basically a way of doing the like mindless work of Pokemon Go without pulling your phone out.
I see.
So
well,
presumably this is the same thing, but for sleep.
yes. Well, and also for Go. So Pokemon Go Plus does all of that still.
Right.
And then
Still, it doesn't stop doing it.
Pokemon Go Plus Plus does all of that, and then it also has like a little Pikachu inside the device that sings you lullabies, and then acts as a sleep tracker or like a movement tracker or whatever it's doing.
Right. So the Pikachu that lives inside this thing sings you lullabies.
Uh-huh.
How frequently does it sing these lullabies?
It has to be that you like push that button that you're also using to collect things in Pokemon Go.
Right.
And
then it sings to you with the low fidelity speaker quality of like a Wii remote.
I guess we'll have to wait in for reviews. Maybe it's a high quality speaker with the fidelity of the Wii remote.
I don't know who this is for.
I don't really know who this is for either, because it feels like children probably are not using a lot of sleep trackers.
Because children either sleep or they don't. Tracking it's not going to help.
And then
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know there are obviously people for whom sleep tracking apps work and or are valuable. I guess I question the utility of tying it to Pokemon and like gamifying it.
Yeah, I agree. But Pokemon Go Plus is out on July 21st, so presumably the Pokemon Sleep will be launching sometime around then. And so that is the thing that's available. Another thing that will be available soon-ish, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. DLC was announced for the games.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Hidden Treasures of Area 0.
That's what they're calling the whole 2-wave set of DLC.
That's right. So the 2 waves are the Teal Mask coming in fall 2023, and then the Indigo Disc arriving in winter 2023. The whole thing is $35.
And there's no way to buy them separately. It's just you buy the whole set, and that's it. Did the Sword and Shield, did that DLC have a single name? Like
not that I remember.
I'm not remembering that either. I'm just remembering the Isle of Armor and the Crown Tundra as like the separate named things. It's interesting to me that this whole set has a name. Makes me wonder if it's possible there's another set coming down the line later.
Oh, interesting. Also, this is they say these are both like story expansions.
Right. So we're not going to get just Inkopolis. Like that's not one of these waves isn't just like a new skin for the hub world.
So you'll, in the first one, in the Teal Mask, which is coming in fall, you'll explore beyond Paldea to a region called Kitakami. And then in the Indigo Disc, players attend the Blueberry Academy. You're like a exchange student there.
And I hope that is meaningful to people who played these games. Because just telling me that I'm going to attend the Blueberry Academy as an exchange student doesn't make any sense to me. But it is whimsical. The Blueberry Academy?
Yeah, I like that a lot. That'd be fun if my alma mater was the Blueberry Academy.
Go fighting blueberries!
The Pokemon home functionality is still coming for the game, promised sometime in early 2023. And then in...
by the way, early 2023, that's now.
Yeah, it could be any time.
Mm-hmm.
And then Walking Wake and Iron Leaves Terra raid battles are now available in Scarlet and Violet, respectively.
Which... The fact that these like Terra Raid battles with these new Pokemon are specific to individual versions of these games sort of brings me back to one of the things that I don't like about this modern trend of having the DLC on top of these releases of these games. I'm a very casual Pokemon fan, but I always love the idea of picking up the third version of a game that sort of just like combines all the content from both the games into one like neat package. That doesn't exist anymore.
No, it hasn't for a while.
And like I don't know, like I'm always going to come to these. Well, first of all, I'm going to frequently buy these things too early and then not play them. But I think I'm more likely to get something out of it if I'm like waiting for a while and then like getting something that is the most complete package that I could get.
No, I completely agree. For me, like my experience with these games if there was kind of like this like definitive edition,
Yes.
that would make it easier for me for sure.
That's what I want. But and instead they're like, here's a $35 expansion that only makes your specific prong of this longer. So I can pay $95 to have a less complete version than if I had gotten like, whatever. And it just the switch over from the 3DS to the Switch too. It's like, oh man, I don't know. There's so much like little inflation built into that.
Shigeru Miyamoto has recently been giving a number of interviews around Super Nintendo World, and recently gave an interview with A. Martinez on NPR, where the legendary game creator answered questions about his legacy and the future of Nintendo. And it's been fun to have Miyamoto out here giving interviews. It's rare for him to do so, and it seems like we're gonna have a lot of opportunity for this year, especially at the beginning of the year, because
he's got a movie.
We have Super Nintendo World opening now, which is a big deal for the company, and then like we have the Super Mario Brothers movie releasing in just a couple of months in April, and he must be like
he's got to be
tons of more press for that as well.
We obviously were at Universal Studios this weekend, and like there are ads for the Mario movie everywhere. Like it is a big deal internally at Universal and with Illumination, and it's going to be like it's going to be huge when it comes out. And so he's definitely going to be hitting the publicity trail for that as well. It's cool to see him give interviews with people who aren't part of the gaming press. Like, it's not an interview with like Jason Schreier. It's A. Martinez.
Yeah, they're not asking him like, what's the deal with Pikmin 4?
Yeah, or like, what happened to Donkey Kong Jr.? Where'd that Kong go?
Although somebody's got to corner him on that.
We need answers.
We need real journalism.
That's right.
But so one of the questions he was asked was about why Mario has such staying power. And Miyamoto responded, quote, "Before, when I was asked this question, I thought that it's perhaps because the game sold well. And a lot of people have this experience of playing this game and playing it over and over, that it becomes commonplace for them. But now I feel that it's a little bit different in that Mario is kind of like your avatar or the person that represents you in the world. And that experience has been around for so long, an experience that can be shared with multiple generations. A father and their children can share that experience. I really think another factor is the fact that Mario was created as a character within an interactive medium. So, for example, if I maybe, drew Mario as a comic book character, I don't think he would have had this much staying power. There was a time when people might have compared Mario with Mickey Mouse. And Mickey Mouse is a character that was born 50 years before my time and was obviously still around in my generation. And I really felt like Mickey Mouse as a character grew alongside the medium of animation. And in that same vein, I feel that Mario is growing alongside this digital medium."
I think this is really smart. I love the observation that Mickey Mouse achieves icon status by being so intrinsically tied to the medium of animation that, like, having a Mickey Mouse on your desk doesn't mean that you're a fan of Mickey Mouse necessarily. It means you're a fan of animation, right? Or you like the Disney house style. He can be representative of something greater, and you can like that greater thing. Mario, being connected to the medium of video games, is effectively mascotted for all of that.
Yeah. Oh, man. It's so true. Like, Mario, yes, is like the mascot for Nintendo, but 100% just like the mascot for video games.
Yeah. And like, so it makes perfect sense that like being foundational to a medium, to like a genre, like just allows it to like embody all of the warm feelings you have towards all of your experiences with the genre or with the medium. Like, Mario to me just like reads as fun. And when I see Mario, I'm like, oh, this dude and I are gonna have fun together. And so I'm sure people had that same experience with Mickey Mouse. So like, a perfect comparison. Well observed, Miyamoto.
And also on whether Nintendo will change when he leaves, Miyamoto said, quote, "I really feel like it's not going to change. It's probably going to be the same. There are people on the executive team, creators within the company, and also people who create Mario. They all have this sense of what it means to be Nintendo. And so it's not like there are a lot of different opinions that go back and forth. Everyone has an understanding, this kind of shared understanding of what it is to be Nintendo. And so even when there's new ideas that come up, there's always the fact that it's a new idea, but also the fact that, is it a new idea that really has the essence of Nintendo or not? And I think that's something that, we have this incredible shared vision, almost a little scary shared vision about this. So I think there won't. It's not going to change."
important to note, this is not coming on the heels of a retirement announcement
No,
or
he's
anything
just
like that.
older.
He's just older.
He's a 70-year-old man.
So, we're just thinking about like the potential end of anything. So that's why this question comes up. Mark, what do you make of this? There's like some sort of scary hive mind that has an idea of what is and is not Nintendo.
I think it's funny that he calls it out.
Yeah, that it's scary. It's also interesting in that like Nintendo is one of those corporate entities, one of those entertainment entities that everyone talking about them has to acknowledge does things that don't make sense, or that we can't see the logic of. And it's just like, and so carefully guarding their Nintendo-ness, that like they appear not to be afraid to make decisions that alienate people or that don't match up with what their competitors are doing. And it's funny, or like, what do you think it is that like causes all these people to be like, oh no, this is the way that Nintendo works? Or like, are people making risky decisions there all the time? Do people like suggest something and someone's like, that's too Nintendo, and someone else is like, that's not Nintendo enough?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. It would be really, I don't think that we'll ever really understand.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm not saying that, or it doesn't seem to me that he's saying that there's like a written like philosophy that they're going back to and like pointing to as like an
Just
ancient
a
text.
shared delusion.
Exactly. And like, does this, match this like strict rubric of that we like put every, decision through and see like, does it, like meet all the criteria for it seems to me that it is, and I think maybe what he means by like a little scary that it's a shared vision is like this kind of unwritten understanding of what is Nintendo, and it's my takeaway from it is that it's more of just like a gut feeling of something that is like true to the company and something that is not.
But it's totally worth checking out the whole interview. Miyamoto's just such a delightful weirdo. I love him so much. There's a moment in the interview where A. Martinez asks him, like, is there such a thing as, like, playing too much video games? And Miyamoto, like, thinks about it for a second, and he's like, I don't think so. I think you can play as many video games as you want, but, like, if it's a nice day, you can go outside. Like, just a delightful man. And he's also posed with the question of if you, like, at the end of your life, you created all of these great worlds. If at the end of your life you had the choice of occupying one of those worlds for eternity, which one would it be? And Miyamoto kind of, like, dodges the question by being like, so here's what I like about my life. I've gotten to work on like a bunch of different things, and so it means that I've always had the opportunity to like move between different ideas. So I guess if I had to choose, it'd be the bathtub. It's just like,
Sure.
what? You are not answering the question, sir. And also, being in the bathtub, that doesn't allow you multiple options of things to work on. You work on one thing in the bathtub.
From
Mark.
the man who brought you his delightful Pikmin 4 T-shirt.
Yes, that's right.
The bathtub.
The afterlife is the bathtub.
Uh-huh. A few weeks back, IGN reported that Nintendo was not going to be attending E3 this year. This grand rebooted E3 that we still don't entirely understand or know what it's going to be. But now Nintendo has officially confirmed it, releasing a statement that reads, in part, quote, this year's E3 show didn't fit our plans.
Does not fit their plans. It means Nintendo has plans.
Reassuring.
So, Mark, what does this mean that E3 is at this point?
Yeah, I don't know. Ubisoft confirmed that they're going. I feel like there was another developer that also confirmed that they're going. So, this really truly feels like a painful transition year. Yeah. And I think ReedPop seems like a obviously a competent organization for big events like this.
And that they have partnerships with Nintendo. They do PAX East, and Nintendo's going to be at that.
Oh, yeah, interesting. So I think this is just like I don't really know what to make of it. I think maybe it speaks more to the kind of year Nintendo has planned than it does E3 in particular.
Interesting.
Also, this is coming even from ReedPop themselves when this report first came up, or like around that. There's been a lot of reporting about this E3. Everybody's really curious about what this E3 is going to be. And ReedPop had a thing saying that like they just barely finalized what it was going to be and just barely
Right.
sent out the contract. So maybe it's like timing, maybe it's a confluence of things. Maybe it's timing. Nintendo has, like an interesting schedule this year with Tears of the Kingdom coming out so early, like
Right.
so soon before
E3.
E3 that maybe it doesn't make sense to have the big marketing beat just then. Because Tears of the Kingdom will probably still be dominating the conversation, So
Sure.
it's just
I mean, but counterpoint, we don't know about anything coming from Nintendo after, like, Pikmin is July. The latest thing that we saw in that in the most recent Nintendo Direct was Sea of Stars, an indie game, right? That's coming out at the end of August. I think the 27th or 28th, something like that. So like, there's the back half of the year that like we don't know what that's going to look like for Nintendo, and it's totally possible that they don't have a lot on their on the docket. But like they have something,
right. We were talking about in the Discord. I'm wondering if 2023 is like Nintendo's 2020. I don't think it was 2020 wasn't necessarily planned to be the way that it was.
Yeah.
But
for anyone or anything,
right. But they had Animal Crossing. And that kind of carried them through the year. They obviously, there was the Mario 35th anniversary stuff. But
it very successfully carried them through the year. But yeah, it definitely carried them
and
through
I wonder
the
if Tears of the Kingdom is going to be a similar thing. You have Tears of the Kingdom in May, and maybe that is like the headliner release for the year. And all in 2020, I think it was 2020, we got the new Paper Mario game. You got Mario 3D All Stars, so it's not like there, like you said, there
Jump
was
rope challenge.
There was, there. It's not that there was nothing. It's so I expect Nintendo to continue to release games through the end of the year. But I just don't know that it'll be, like Tears of the Kingdom big.
Right. Well, and we had that Pokemon Presents, so we. And we got the shape of the DLC, so it's
and no other like
be a big Pokemon game.
Yeah, that's right, that's true. So yeah, I don't know. I think you're right that this doesn't necessarily tell us anything about Nintendo's plans other than E3 doesn't fit into it.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting that part of the statement they acknowledge that Nintendo, quote, has been and continues to be a strong supporter of the ESA and E3. But no language about like we look forward to returning to E3 in future years or anything like that, which I do remember being part of the language of these press releases around like the original cancellations of E3 back in 2020 and the sort of acknowledgement that there wasn't really going to be anything last year.
Right.
That like everyone was like gently positive, forward looking, being like, we look forward to doing this again in the future. There's no kind of assurance like that here.
Yeah, it's true. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope may have fallen short of Ubisoft's initial sales expectations, but the crossover sequel brought home the Family Game of the Year award at this year's DICE Awards.
So congratulations to Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope. You won an award. It's like the only Nintendo or Nintendo adjacent game to win an award at DICE this year. Which I guess not. We don't need them to win in awards. It's just an interesting observation that they're not really part of that.
Square Enix has put out a patch for Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers Edition. This brings it to version 1.0.2. Square Enix has said that the frame rate has improved. Which, Patrick,
yes,
you bought the Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamer Edition when it was released. And you got stuck at like a bug. Like you just couldn't progress any further, right?
It's true, I did get caught on a bug in Chrono Cross. I was entering an area and it was populated with the wrong enemies, and I checked it against like a guide because I was like, why do these things keep beating me? Why can't I progress here? But yeah, it's beyond that specific bug, which would make me have to restart anyway. The game had really bad performance issues. Like frame rate would frequently drop to like single digits, like really, really bad. And then just sort of like regular combat encounters where it doesn't seem like it should be doing that. So I'm not super encouraged in that it's version 1.0.2. That after the second decimal point, like feels like a pretty minor revision. But I would take a minor revision at this point because I was very excited to play the game and definitely ran out of steam when I hit that game-breaking bug, but would like to revisit.
And finally, we are getting one more Nintendo Direct for the for the Super Mario Brothers movie. The direct will be on March 9th at 2 p.m. Pacific time, where they will be showing the final trailer for the game. And once again, they're getting out in front of it. There's no game information. Purely a trailer for Super Mario Brothers movie.
Just a trailer for the movie. How are you feeling at this point? I feel like I don't need to see any more at this point.
Yeah, I feel like after that, honestly, for me, after that first trailer where
Right.
it wasn't a complete disaster,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, okay. Well,
Okay,
like,
I get it
obviously
now.
I will end up seeing this movie.
Well, yeah. But we've seen sort of showcased Seth Rogen and Jack Black and Pratt and Anya Taylor-Joy. So like we're gonna get some time with Keegan Michael Key. We're gonna get some time with Charlie
Day. I think those are the outstanding like major cast members.
Yeah. And we've seen Luigi running away from stuff, but I feel like we don't know Luigi.
No,
man.
And maybe
He's
honestly,
unknowable.
yeah, truly, our sweet virgin Luigi.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. All right, that is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE Mitchell, and the show is at NinCart Society. We also have a Discord, which is where you should really be chatting with us. It's invite only, so you got to email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society
at gmail.com,
and we will send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Eller saying thank you for listening.